Success begins the day you stop negotiating with your excuses, the meeting with himself. At exactly 6 o'clock every morning, Caleb held a meeting, not with clients, not with coworkers, not with investors, with himself. And every morning, the meeting ended the same way. I'll start tomorrow. The gym could wait. The business idea could wait. The online course could wait. The difficult phone call could wait. Everything important could always wait one more day. Oddly enough, Caleb never missed work, never forgot appointments with other people, never arrived late when someone else was counting on him. The only person he constantly disappointed was himself. One rainy Monday morning, as he prepared another excuse, his elderly apartment manager knocked on his door. "You dropped this." It was an old notebook Caleb had lost months earlier. Inside was a page titled, "My Life in 5 Years." The page described a confident entrepreneur, healthy, financially free, surrounded by family, helping others. Caleb stared at the handwriting. It belonged to him. He had described someone he had never become. The apartment manager quietly smiled. "You know what's interesting?" "What?" "You never lied to yourself about what you wanted. You only kept negotiating with what it would cost." Those words followed Caleb long after the door closed. The auction nobody could see. The next afternoon, Caleb wandered into an antique auction. People bid aggressively on paintings, clocks, and furniture. An elderly auctioneer paused before the final item. It was an old wooden mirror. Someone asked, "Why is that mirror so valuable?" The auctioneer smiled. "It doesn't show your face. It shows what repeated choices eventually become." The crowd laughed. Caleb didn't. The auctioneer continued. "Every excuse is like placing another bid. You slowly purchase a future you never intended to own." Caleb imagined every excuse he had ever made. "I'm tired. I'll begin Monday. I need more money. I'm waiting for the right time." Without realizing it, he had been bidding against his own future, and he was winning. The boat that never left the harbor. A week later, Caleb visited the coast. An old fisherman sat repairing his nets beside a weathered boat. The boat looked strong, yet was covered in dust. "Why don't you use it anymore?" Caleb asked. The fisherman smiled. "Because years ago I became afraid of storms." "So you stopped fishing?" "I started making excuses. I told myself the weather wasn't right. The season wasn't right. My equipment wasn't ready. One day I realized something. The boat wasn't getting old because of the sea. It was getting old because it never left the harbor." The fisherman looked toward the horizon. "Boats aren't built to stay safe. Neither are people." Caleb stared silently at the calm water. The greatest damage rarely comes from failure. It comes from never leaving the shore. The end of negotiation. That night, Caleb wrote one sentence across a blank page. No more negotiating. The next morning his alarm rang. His mind whispered, "You deserve more sleep." For the first time, he answered back. No. He exercised, studied before work, canceled unnecessary distractions, finished unfinished tasks, applied for opportunities instead of thinking about them. The excuses didn't disappear. They simply lost the argument. Caleb discovered something powerful. Discipline isn't the absence of excuses. It's refusing to let them vote. Every day became another decision. Every decision strengthened his identity. Slowly, he stopped becoming the man who wanted success. He became the man who worked for it, the opportunity that recognized him. 18 months later, Caleb attended a leadership conference. A guest speaker unexpectedly asked for volunteers to present business ideas. The old Caleb would have looked down. The new Caleb stood immediately. He shared his vision, answered difficult questions, accepted honest criticism. After the session, an investor approached him. "I've been looking for someone exactly like you." Caleb smiled. "You've known me for 5 minutes." The investor shook his head. "No, I recognize your preparation. People who negotiate with excuses never carry themselves like that." Their partnership transformed Caleb's career. Others called it luck. Caleb knew better. Opportunity had simply recognized the habits he had quietly built. The conversation with his son. 25 years later, Caleb sat on the porch with his teenage son. The young man sighed. "I want to start my own business. But maybe next year." Caleb smiled knowingly. "Can I tell you a secret?" His son nodded. "I spent years negotiating with my excuses. I always won. But every time I won the argument, I lost another year." He pointed toward the family home. "This house, our business, the opportunities we've enjoyed. They all began the day I stopped convincing myself to wait." His son sat quietly. Sometimes wisdom arrives as a story. Sometimes it arrives as regret honestly shared. The decision that changes everything. Imagine waking up tomorrow morning. Nothing around you is different. The same bed, the same job, the same responsibilities, the same challenges. But something inside you changes forever. When your alarm rings, There is no negotiation. When fear speaks, there is no negotiation. When procrastination whispers, you can start tomorrow. There is no negotiation. You simply move. One workout, one chapter, one application, one conversation, one promise kept, one difficult decision. That is how extraordinary lives are built. Not through perfect conditions, not through endless motivation, but through ordinary people who stop arguing with the actions they already know they need to take. Every excuse offers temporary comfort. Every action creates permanent progress. The future you've been praying for may already be waiting. It simply cannot meet the version of you that keeps postponing life. One day, people will look at your success and wonder how you did it. They will see the results. They will never see the thousands of mornings you refuse to negotiate with your excuses. Because success is not born the day opportunity arrives. Success begins the day excuses stop making decisions for you. If this message challenged the way you think, subscribe to the Legacy Mind, where every conversation is designed to help you think deeper, live wiser, and become more. Remember this: excuses always promise comfort. Discipline always delivers freedom. The life you've been waiting for begins the moment you stop negotiating with the habits that are holding you back. Success begins the day you stop negotiating with your excuses.